All right, guys, this is Richard at reefs.com. Thank you for joining me on this not so sunny South Florida, kind of rainy South Florida. I'm here today in Biota Fort Lauderdale facility with my good friend Jake. Jake, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. First of all, thank you for having me in this facility once again. And what are we talking about today?
Yeah, today we're highlighting one of our most popular species, the Mandarin Dragonet.
Okay.
Historically, it's been a super popular aquarium trade species, but a lot of hobbyists really haven't had a lot of success with them, or kind of varying success over a couple months to years.
Honestly, I think it's one of the most beautiful fish in any saltwater aquarium in our hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, psychedelic Mandarin is one of the most colorful, the patterns and everything is just so outstanding. But like you mentioned earlier, it had a bad name for having it as a rental fish.
Exactly.
Because eventually, we can't really get them to eat. Eventually, they'll get thinner and thinner, and eventually just diminish to death. But you guys have them here now, and can you tell us a little bit more about them?
Yeah, from the wild, they usually are like opportunistic feeders of only eating copepods, amphipods, small little hunters. But they hunt throughout the day, so they really don't have a long digestive tract like some other species.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to basically be constantly eating.
Really?
But since we have to breed them, they eat pellets, they eat frozen, they still need to get fed a couple times a day just to make sure they're keeping that healthy weight.
Okay.
But at least they eat prepared diets, so you don't have to rely on dosing your tank with pods or having a large enough, established enough tank for them to survive.
Which could get very expensive.
Oh yeah, yeah. With monthly putting pods in there, I mean, it's way more costly.
Right. Now, when you say that we have to feed them often, how often do you have to feed them? Like, are they like almost like anthias?
Yeah, similar to anthias. So we feed all of our fish 3 to 5 times a day regardless. But if you can feed around 3 times a day, making sure they get some food down to them, because they're never going to come up and eat like an anthias. They'll kind of wait, methodically eat around the sand bed or on the rockwork.
Gotcha. So I think the size that you guys offer are close to an inch, right?
Yeah, like 3/4 inch to an inch.
Gotcha. And then from that size, what would you recommend?
Yeah, we feed a lot of TDO B2 size pellets. We feed PE Calanus and Hikari baby brown.
Gotcha. Man, that TDO is so versatile.
Yeah,
man. Right? Yeah, it looks like every breeder is feeding them like so many different sizes, and I guess it just comes in so handy.
Yeah.
And how long do they usually last? Like, how long do they live?
Yeah, they can live upwards of like 20 years.
20 years?
Yeah, we've got some broodstock in Palau that are over a decade now, still spawning strong,
Wow.
and they get nice 4.5, 3 inches, so they're really nice large fish when they get nice size.
What are some of the unique characteristics of Mandarin fish that makes them so desirable in our hobby?
Yeah, they're almost like a scaleless fish, so they don't really contract a lot of diseases, or really not have the ability to contract a lot of diseases. A lot of it's because of their slime coat. The slime coat makes them actually poisonous, so they're non-palatable to a lot of fish. Apparently it smells pretty poor in the water, so a lot of fish don't like to try to eat them in the wild.
Oh, okay.
I think that's also goes with the vibrant
defense.
coloration too.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it prevents them from getting a lot of easily transmissible diseases in the hobby, which is super great for especially beginners that don't really know much about medications or treatment.
Quarantine or anything like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Gotcha. What kind of tank or how big the tank should be when you house one of these?
Yeah, we've kind of had a varying agreement on this, where it's always good to have a big tank for them to kind of scoot around the rockwork, because that's what they do in the wild. But I've had customers keep them in as small 30-gallon tanks, as long as they're feeding pretty heavily and doing well. But they don't do well with some aggressive feeders, so like maybe large angels or anthias, because they're slow, methodical. They don't really like to be picked on. They don't really like to be bullied out of their food.
Yeah.
So seahorses are actually really good, pipefish, or even just other like docile fish like cardinals or gobies.
And many people always ask, because like captive-bred fish means always higher dollar. How much does this fish cost right now?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting you say that, because they are a bit more expensive than the wild caught. I think wild is somewhere around like 45, 50. Ours are around like 95, 100. But when you're factoring in the different diets you got to feed, if you're buying copepods every single week or every month to keep them alive, over the span of that fish, I mean, it's definitely easier, and you're gonna have a higher success rate with captive bred.
And then, as with all the fish that you guys offer, these are quarantine, disease-free fish, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything at our facility is checked on by marine biologists like myself or Janice or some of the other employees, just to make sure that they don't have any diseases or pests or not carrying anything. So hobbyists can be confident bringing it to their aquarium.
Gotcha. So if the viewers are purchasing this fish from a local fish store, and what are some of the tips that you could give as a breeder? What kind of telltale signs to look out for?
Yeah, make sure the body is like plump. They're not showing any bones or skinniness. Their fins are fully kind of formed. They're not having any chunks taken out.
Okay.
They're prone to bullying, especially in new aquariums, so that you want to make sure that they're not super stressed when you get them. And other than that, they should be good to go.
And then when you get this fish, how should one acclimate this into a new aquarium?
Yeah, this is a species that we always suggest an acclimation box with.
Okay.
Just because they are kind of tiny, and going to new environments, they're not the best swimmers.
Right.
So if you have an acclimation box, you can feed them target feed, some pellets and frozen food before you kind of release them to the rest of your tank. And a lot of our hobbyists tend to kind of lose them for a few days, and they kind of pop out of the rockwork like almost double the size.
Gotcha. Well, Jake, thank you so much for having me here in this amazing facility. Every time I come here, it's like a candy store. I just can't. I'm just drooling all over the tank. You're going to have to check your salinity afterwards.
It's always a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much, Jake. Well, thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope you guys learned something new. And if you guys are in the market for a brand new Mandarin fish, which I highly recommend you do, be sure to check out their website at
shop.thebiotagroup.com.
and check out your local fish store if they do carry it. And if they don't, please reach out to them and let them know that they have these fish available at their location. All right, guys, thank you for watching once again. You guys have a great day.